In the White House, it was a packed crowd in front of friends and family as Erica Kirk was able to receive, in the honor of Charlie Kirk, the Congressional Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was in the rose ceremony. A lot of people were there, and the president signed a form or some sort of national proclamation, a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk with Erica in the Oval Office. And also he presented her with the Medal of Freedom for her husband. And for the first time, a Christian cross was engraved on the back of the Presidential Medal of Freedom because Charlie's powerful work in advancing the kingdom of Jesus Christ.
Here's the president.
Charles James Kirk was a visionary and one of the greatest figures of his generation. He was truly an amazing figure and growing leaps and bounds. Charlie grew Turning Point into the largest conservative youth organization in the entire country. He forged a personal bond with countless young conservatives. He fought for free speech, religious liberty, strong borders, and a very strong and proud America. In everything he did, he put America first. He really put America first. And ultimately, Charlie became more than a leader of an important organization. He became the leader of historic movements all over the country.
Of course, it was the day of his 32nd birthday. That's why he got the award. And she joked about saying that I finally found it so hard to shop for him. But she finally saw...
Because he wasn't materialistic.
Wasn't materialistic. How do you shop for someone on their birthday? But he did get the best present. Here she is.
He didn't fear being slandered. He did not. He didn't fear losing friends, I can tell you that. He didn't. He didn't care. He stood for truth and stood for freedom, and he did not... Everything else was just a noise to him. And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute. That's why. There was no limit to what he would have sacrificed to defend freedom for all. And if the moment had come, he probably would have run for president, but not out of ambition. He would only have done it if that was something that he believed that his country needed from a servant's heart standpoint. And Charlie lived only 31 short years. No, he's 32, but on this side of heaven.
You know, one of the things is Charlie, you know, he signed up to be this public figure, and his parents are very private. And one of the things that the president did, you know, wherever the president is, the cameras are. It's just the reality. He's the leader of the free world. He waited until the press pool left, and then he went to greet his mom and dad. And they're rightfully broken right now for what's happening.
Found myself in a train at the station. When it hits home, I wanna be left alone. Please take me far, far away. I can't watch it anymore. She covers her face. You might call me hateful, bigoted and racist. I'll wait for the next train and reach my old ages. You can't fix a savage animal, rabbit, and damage.
Going on, guys. We are back here in Washington, D.C. after an epic day yesterday. Charlie Kirk Medal of Freedom ceremony at the White House. Today is Wednesday, October 15, 2025. We're going to do something different on the show today. We are going to be speaking with a congressional Democrat, pretty well-known guy named Khanna. He is from California. He is somebody who has never been on the show before, but who reached out to me after Charlie Kirk's assassination and said, I'd like to have a conversation. I'd like to start bridging the gap here. And so we're very excited to have that conversation. And we don't want to miss it. And we're obviously on a different schedule today, but it's something that I think is going to be the work of us continuing the legacy of our friend. Charlie's just my friend, man. Like, I just love that guy. And he was constantly reaching out to the individuals on the left, people who were lost, clearly. And he made his career goal the ability to bridge those gaps. And he was bringing people together constantly, whether it's RFK and Trump, J.D. Vance and Trump, or whether it's him bridging the gaps on college campuses with pink-haired lesbians, right? Like that he would speak with on college campuses. It was what his life's work was. And he stood up for his principles, and he didn't cuck out, but he made a clear and honest and moral case, and he did so in good faith. And so that's what we're going to do today, ladies and gentlemen, on the program, as we honor Charlie like we did at the White House yesterday. Khanna will be joining the show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. As we are on the road, it is good to make sure that my blood pressure remains low. It's stressful when we're traveling. We're moving all over the place. We have a rip-roaring day today. 120 Life is how I do that. 120 Life is a blend of 5 all-natural ingredients that are proven to lower your blood pressure. About half of America has high blood pressure, and so make sure that you are locking in the way that I do. Thousands of doctors support this product. It provides measurable, visible, lower blood pressure. It's simple to monitor and track at home. I do it every single day. For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20%. Just use the code Benny at checkout, 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial and a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. 120life.com. Let's rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Code Benny will save you 20%. Erica Kirk fights back at tears as Trump presents her with Charlie's Medal of Freedom. A beautiful moment at the White House yesterday. I want to just jump in and share with you what this Medal of Freedom looked like. This is the cross that was engraved on the back of it. I know that we made a lot of news yesterday talking about this, but Erica showed me, and she wanted me to show you this cross. This is the first time that a Christian crucifix has ever been engraved in the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor. A beautiful work from the Trump administration. And I hear little birdies inside the Trump administration tell me, well, this was actually very hard to do. And they had to push for it very, very mightily in order to get it done. It's a beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. An incredible ceremony. Obviously, President Trump sounding off on his dear friend Charlie Kirk. Here we go.
1 month after Charlie's death, we still feel the terrible shock and the pain of his loss, like just about nobody I can think of. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. He was unstoppable. And he really was. Boy, when he had an idea in his head, he would call me, "Sir, please, you haven't done it yet." I said, "Charlie, relax. Just relax." He didn't relax. He'd call me the next day again. It got it done. But he was like indomitable and always will be. He's really irreplaceable. Nobody can replace him. But they're going to do great. But you can't replace that kind of person and that kind of talent, frankly. The word talent is an important word, but that kind of talent. So we hold his memory in our hearts forever. Every single day of this administration, we will continue to carry out the mission for which he lived, and he really did. He lived for this country. He lived for his wife and his family, but he lived for this country, too. In Charlie's honor, we will continue like we have been to fight, and to win. We're going to win so much.
Just a completely beautiful thing. It was amazing to see Erica and so many friends at this event. It was the most beautiful day I've ever seen at the White House. I've lived in D.C. for 15 years. I've never seen the White House so gorgeous. It was like the heavens just opened up and revealed this. Don Jr. walking down the hallway of presidents. The only other video I really want to show you is Don Jr. We'll go ahead and listen to this.
So we have a new Great Wall of Presidents.
This is me filming.
But it gets really good towards the end, guys. I think you want to probably see this. Grant, Cleveland, McKinley, Roosevelt, in order, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, other Bush, Obama, Trump, and the auto pen. Because, in all fairness, the auto pen was running things for the last 4 years prior to Trump, too.
There you go. So many good people.
Boom.
So many people there, good people there yesterday. I know we have a couple of photos. Again, I don't want to belabor this. We obviously shared a lot of this yesterday, but here's some of the crew, obviously, that defended Charlie with every inch of their lives, and every single day went into battle with Charlie. You know many of the faces there. Blake Neff, Jack Posobiec, Tyler Boyer, and Andrew Colvett. Also some legends in the audience. This was a really neat lineup of, well, the Fox News Power lineup here. Bill O'Reilly, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Jesse Waters, Laura Ingraham. Jeez, what an incredible lineup. Do we have the photo of me and Megyn Kelly and Jesse Waters? This is cool. We got some great quality time with Megyn Kelly yesterday. And everyone, it was just really neat to roll and hang out. And Jesse had me on the show last night. And yeah, it's just an honor to see so many. It's just neat to see so many people showing up to honor Charlie. It was truly like it was a true and proper powerhouse in Washington, D.C. There's also a massive statue of George Washington that has been applied to the Rose Garden that I thought was cool. Look at the size of that thing. And yeah, there it is right there. Megyn Kelly, God gave us a beautiful, sunny, perfect afternoon to celebrate Charlie and his Presidential Medal of Freedom on what would have been his 32nd birthday. It's good to spend it with some old friends at the White House. Benny, button your jacket. Stop eating so many cinnamon rolls. That's the message right there. Ladies and gentlemen, we also, one final thing, we also got to see the Donald Trump brand new flagpole. And you can see it in that photo, but also as you walk by it, you just realize how majestic this thing is. It's a freaking awesome flagpole.
Have not seen in person, and I'm seeing it for the first time, are these massive flagpoles that President Trump installed at his own expense. It cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's hard to really describe how gigantic.
This is this was an amazing day. It was just an honor to be invited, and an important moment to sort of crystallize like what we're doing here. We're going to continue the work of Charlie. We're going to continue the work of Charlie today. We're going to have a Democrat on the show in a second. All right. And so there is one other takeaway, that there's a lot of gold at the White House. ALX and I were both there. There's so much gold now at the White House. It's crazy. Advantage Gold, ladies and gentlemen, will help make sure that you can be as golden as Trump's White House. I don't know, dude. Trump has like probably tens of millions of dollars of gold leaf all over the White House now. It's freaking awesome. It is austere. That is beautiful. The feds have cut rates again, making precious metals potentially spike even higher. You should make sure that you are investing in your future right now in a fantastic performing asset class. It's done great for me. It could do great for you. Advantage Gold can set you up with a brand new gold IRA guide for 2025. This guide shows you a step-by-step way to protect your retirement by legally moving your IRA or 401k or TSP into physical gold and silver, real assets that you can hold in your hands. Text Benny to 85545 right now and get your free gold IRA guide. Plus, Advantage Gold is offering up to $10,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. This is your chance to safeguard your future and savings, help protect your family, and secure your future. Don't let the Fed gamble your life away. Text Benny to 85545 today. That's Benny to 85545. And one more partner, since we are on the road, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Mobile, of course, as you know, keeps us locked and loaded on the road. We are here at the Conservative Partnership Institute today in Washington, D.C. I just want to shout out like the people who are keeping us connected here. Like, why not just join the team? Okay. Patriot Mobile, everywhere we're going. At the White House yesterday, CPI helping us do our broadcast today from their studios. Ladies and gentlemen, these are incredible conservative companies. The only conservative Christian wireless provider is Patriot Mobile in this country. They believe in truth. They believe in justice. They believe in the American way, and they believe in free speech. I know this is a matter of fact. They help us speak freely from the road every single time we are hitting the road, and we're doing more today as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Patriot Mobile with us all the way, the backbone of this company, the backbone of our connectivity to you. Take a stand today and go to patriotmobile.com/Benny, call 972-PATRIOT, and use promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny Call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. Ladies and gentlemen, with the moment that we had yesterday at the White House, I want a moment of peace. I also want a moment of us, people stopping dying. I don't want political violence. And so let's see if we can have that moment with Khanna. Khanna, give us a second to switch up the studio. He's going to be an in-person guest here. And let's rock and roll with the highest profile Democrat who has yet to be on the show, and hopefully not the last, right? Because we need to have these conversations. So let's rock and roll with Khanna, Congressman from California, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored today to have in the studio live with us Khanna of California. Congressman,
good to see you.
Joining us live. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the Benny Show.
Well, thanks for having me. Look, it started out because I reached out to you offering condolences on the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I knew, because you show up in my feeds, how close you were on a human level. And to me, something is broken when we're not able to offer condolences to each other, even if we disagree. Yeah. And then I'm so sorry for what your family is going through. I mean, horrific. Having someone you don't know threaten to eliminate not just you, but your wife and kids, appalling. And he needs to be brought to justice. And I'm sorry on a human level what you've been going through.
I'm just really happy that the DOJ has taken action. Nobody should have to live like this. We certainly aren't the only ones who get death threats. It happens a lot. I was actually helping a well-known, I won't name them because I'll destroy their career, but a well-known leftist yesterday who has gotten some really credible death threats. And it's not anything that should ever happen. It's hard enough to raise a family as it is. And you shouldn't do that under terroristic threatening. I mean, right?
Look,
we're all
calm about it, but people, I mean, as a family, to threaten your kids, to threaten to eliminate you, this person deserves the book thrown at them. And we were talking about how you may not fess up to it, but you had Democrats at your wedding. And, there used to be a time in this country where you have strong, hard agreements on where the country is going, but we could talk to each other, still have friendships across party lines, try to understand each other, recognize that none of us have a monopoly on the truth, that, we all have blind spots. And so I appreciate your inviting me just to have a conversation. Maybe it's Iowa nice. I don't know what it is, but there needs to be more dialogue in this country.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I want everyone to know that Khanna, before almost anyone, after Charlie's death, reached out. And I don't know how he got my email. We had never spoken before. And not out of animosity, but just we didn't have any professional necessity to speak at that time. And he reached out, the congressman reached out right away and said, how do we fix this? What happened to Charlie was horrible. And what can we do to make sure that it doesn't happen to any other American? And that is just such an honorable baseline, such a human baseline that I think is missed by some people in your party, by some people who've used this as an opportunity to further desecrate, dance on Charlie's grave. And it's been tough to see. It's been tough to watch. And it's what makes people cold and bitter, actually, is seeing that even after this man's wife is widowed and children are orphaned, that there's still no humanity left. And I don't want, you don't want to live in a country like that, right? You don't want to live in a country where people will celebrate the death of somebody that disagree with politically or want to assassinate them. And you can't unite with that. And in order to have a country that functions, you have to be able to agree on more than you disagree on. And so anyway, it was just refreshing to see. It's been nice to see. It's been great to do this. This is why we're having this conversation.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, I think we have to be able to see each other's humanity. It shouldn't be a big high bar to say we condemn political assassinations, that if there is a political assassination and someone's close to them, that you reach out and you offer condolences, that your heart breaks for someone's wife and their kids, and that we can see each other as Americans, ultimately. That doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything Charlie stood for in terms of, I mean, that Charlie wouldn't want that. He would,
No.
if we want to have a conversations about the, places of disagreement, fine. And we can get into that in terms of where people agree or disagree. But it should be done in a way of honoring our country's ability to have dialogue, debate, and seeing each other as humans.
It was tough watching Ilhan Omar and AOC, right, use it as an opportunity to attack Charlie. I mean, obviously you disagree with them, but to not have Democrats vote to disavow political violence, right? I think there was 53 Democrats that did that. And then Ilhan Omar, using it as a real opportunity to attack Charlie, saying that, his opinion belongs in the dustbin of history. His worldview belongs in the dustbin of history. That she's not going to honor this shitty person. Yeah, I mean it's just a nastiness.
Well, no, she's had a lot of death threats too, right? We've got to. But look, I think here's where people are coming from on the Democratic side, so we can have an honest conversation. I think even Ilhan or AOC would unequivocally condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk. If they were here, they at a human level would express an empathy for you as someone who knew him. I'm sure of that. I mean, and maybe we as a party needed to do that more. But there are places where Charlie had views that were deeply hurtful to people on our side. Two of those views were what he had said about the Civil Rights Act, right? I mean, if it weren't for the Civil Rights Act, the Immigration Reform Act, my parents wouldn't have been able to come to the United States. I wouldn't be in the United States Congress. And then what the comments he had made about Michelle Obama and Ketanji Jackson Brown. So I don't think it's beyond the pale. You tell me if I'm wrong, to be criticizing.
Well, I'm just saying that he was assassinated, right? So he was assassinated by the left. So he was killed. And so so he was assassinated, and it seems like those are the kind of moments where you can set that stuff aside. Let me give you an example. Right now, Joe Biden has stage 5 metastasized cancer to his bones. As this is a death sentence, according
they say they say there's some therapies, but let's say at least
I mean most medical professionals say that,
and
it's terrible. And I've seen members of my family die of cancer,
right?
And I think that Joe Biden is the worst president of my lifetime. I don't like Joe Biden, and I
you really think that?
I do, and I think he was a really bad president. And when I heard that about his cancer diagnosis, you take the political and you set it aside. And no matter what I thought of Joe Biden, and no matter how hard I fought to make sure that Joe Biden wasn't president, you take it and you compartmentalize it and you put it aside and you say a prayer for Joe.
I appreciate it, because you had said this to me privately as well.
And
this is not something
I want to, and so there's these two planes that I think are really important, right? Where it's there's the plane of we're working to figure out what the best ideas for this country are. And then there's the human plane where it's I really don't, it's terrible that Joe Biden is going to suffer through this terrible cancer treatment that I've seen myself personally will affect my family, millions of other Americans. And so I'm going to say a prayer for him that his, whatever days God has for him are painless. And there, I feel like there's moments, there's moments where you can shift, hopefully, from one to the other, right? To the human side. And I wish more of America saw the human side, right? And that it doesn't all have to be political. It doesn't have to be Charlie Kirk was killed and that's bad, but here's everything I hate about him. That's what I've tried to do. And I haven't seen any conservatives dancing on Joe Biden's grave, so to speak. I haven't seen anybody celebrating the horrible thing that's happening to Joe Biden. I've seen a lot of people praying for him and saying, we hope that he lives a painless, whatever days God has for him are painless. But there were a lot of leftists that were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, and I'm trying. What I want is to try and figure out, what is that exactly? Why is that happening? Because that is something that's bothered a lot of people.
Well, look, the celebration of his death was horrific, disgusting, appalling. I mean, I have never met Erica, but I saw her comments about forgiving Charlie's killer, and to me that was what Christianity is all about, right? Forgiveness, redemption. And I saw his kids. I saw this clip of Charlie being interviewed and his daughter running to hug him. And at a human level, your heart goes out to the family. The question then is, okay, and I know you're sincere about praying for Joe Biden, because you've told me that not just in this interview, you've told me that before. But if there was if you were in the Congress and there is a resolution just to have an honest conversation that says Joe Biden was the greatest president in American history, hypothetically, and let's wish him well for cancer. You could see why that would maybe.
I would never say Joe Biden's the president. I would say it's because what the resolution for Charlie was just to honor his life, right? And so, so I would be like, yeah, Joe Biden was president, and he, had he did his career, here in the Senate and in the federal government. If I was a member of Congress, I would find that okay. So we're gonna so Joe Biden has terminal cancer. We're gonna honor his life and his service, and say that cancer is bad, right? I would totally vote for it. God, voted for it. Fine, fine. That's not even hard, right? But I don't want to. I'm just trying to get to the core of the humanity that we're losing, right? Which is that's been on full display. The humanity loss has been tough to see. Now there's been some members like you, John Fetterman, who've just come out front and been like, no, we're not going to use this as an opportunity to attack Charlie further or to celebrate his death. And I think that's like a rock bottom basement that we can build from, actually, that political violence is wrong, and that we shouldn't celebrate it, and we shouldn't want more of it. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, that unequivocal condemnation of the violence, empathy for people who have suffered from it, the ability to condemn violence to you, to your family, threats of violence. I mean, unambiguously thinking how we tone down and understand how we bring down the temperature in this country. I mean, I've condemned. I got in some hot waters on Hugh Hewitt, and I said that the attorney general who was running in Virginia, that those tweets were beyond the pale, that I can support him in good conscience when he's threatening to kill the Speaker of the House and texting that. I mean, that's not a high bar. But at the same time,
you call for him to drop out of the race, Jay Jones.
I don't call for him to. I never call for anyone to drop out. But I said that I wouldn't support him. I don't endorse him. I wouldn't. I don't support him, and I condemn those tweets. But it's for the people to decide in terms of whether it's Republican, Democrat. We have a democracy. It's people who are calling for Donald Trump to drop out because he had charges. Or I just think we need to be clear that that I wouldn't. If he called me up today and said, "Would you endorse me?" I wouldn't endorse him. I don't support him. But at the same time, the group chat. I mean, I know people have dismissed this, but you get these 20, 30-year-old folks talking about insults to people who are Jewish, to people.
Before we get to that, because I'm happy to talk about that, and I want to obviously talk about the differences between the two of them. But Jay Jones, he texted Republicans that he wanted to kill them. He wanted to shoot them with bullets. He called them and harassed them, and then he said he wanted to kill their children.
Right.
Called their children little fascists. This is the exact same thing that happened to me, and a man is now in prison for it, a Californian man from San Diego. And he's in jail for doing the same thing, threatening my family and threatening to kill me. And so how do you parse the difference there between the results? Because Jay Jones, who did that to a Republican, is on the ballot in Virginia and still has a considerable amount of Democrat support. I haven't seen Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or Nancy Pelosi call for him to drop out of the race or even to condemn. Actually, he still has the full support of the DNC, the DCCC. How do you square that? Because what that says to someone like me is we're going to selectively choose, where we find condemnation for this. We actually don't think that's wrong. Abigail Spanberger hasn't called for him to drop out. I mean, that seems like the lowest possible threshold is like, you shouldn't be asking for people to die, asking for Republicans to be killed.
Look, I don't think he should be supported. I mean, that's, and I don't think we should be endorsing him because of what those texts were pretty horrible. Now, I don't think you would say he should be prosecuted. The guy who threatened you should be prosecuted because there was a actionable intent to actually harm you. And we have a broad First Amendment in this country for a reason. But there's a difference between saying someone's speech may be protected under the First Amendment and that we should be supporting them as a political candidate. Yeah. But Benny,
it's refreshing to hear someone say it, though. I mean, I guess it's refreshing to hear. I'm not trying to put the screws to you. I appreciate the fact that you're able to just disavow it.
Yeah, and look, I'm sure there'll be some people upset at me because they'll say, it's a close race and he's on the ballot, and are you not going to endorse him or support him, given that it's neck and neck? And no, I can't. I can't support someone who threatens violence in that way. And it's not like okay, the next day he woke up and then he texted, "I'm really sorry, I was having a moment," right? It's 3 years later. That's not the type of politics. But let me ask you this, because I want to why on the left the hurt in terms of these issues, and take Kirk out of it, because obviously he was murdered and sympathies, and you were a genuine friend of his and his family, and I know that's been painful. When you look at the issues that the left has been hurt by, this idea of the civil rights movement, right, and the Civil Rights Act, and this that overcomes segregation in the South. And I was talking to someone the other day who said, when he grew up in the South, he couldn't go through the front door of the restaurant. He used to go through the back door, but it didn't really matter because he was too poor to buy anything. And growing up in the South, black meant being black and poor. And then we have Dr. King. We have the civil rights movement. Now we have the end of Jim Crow. You have the Immigration Reform Act that allows people like my parents to come to the United States. I'm born in Philadelphia. Do you see how people would be hurt if it's anyone saying, well, we don't believe in the Civil Rights Act, or, if anyone's an African-American woman in a high place like Ketanji Jackson Brown, we're questioning their intelligence. Yeah. I'm saying, I'm trying to, because in the spirit of having this honest conversation, I'm telling you where that hurt comes from.
And I've said it before, but I'll say it now. Like, I love that we're having this conversation. You can't fix the country if you can't have conversations like this. I hope that more Democrats come on the show and we can have more civilized conversations and have more spirited debate, because that's the only way that you start seeing each other as human. Actually, right. It's easy when it's an avatar,
right?
When it's like a meme online, right? When it's something that's not inhuman. But I'm a human being. I have kids. I have real children that I'm really raising. I'm just a dad. I'm just a normal dude. Right? Just like everybody else, like just like you and your family. And we're just normal dudes. And we're all on the ship together. And if the ship sinks, if America fails, like, we all fail together, and it sucks for all of us, right?
Yeah. It's the greatest country in the world, right?
Well, yes. But we used to say, we used to say, I know you do, but I'm not sure that I'm not sure. I think that's actually the difference between now and the 90s, is that the majority, I think there's a considerable, perhaps still minority of voters that are not sure if America is the greatest country in the world, and aren't aware.
I'll tell you, this is the greatest country.
Cheers to that.
Indian American, born in Philadelphia in 1976, of Hindu faith, and this country elected me to represent the richest, most powerful, economically prosperous place in the world, Silicon Valley. This is a country where still your dreams can come true from whatever background you are. It's an incredible place. But the reason I have this conversation, a lot of times people get together like us, we have a dialogue, and then we don't get, it's sort of the niceties, and they don't get to the heart.
So please let me get to the heart of the issue that you just brought up. So you're talking about hurt, and you're talking about people's feelings being hurt, or someone's like core beliefs.
Right.
That's important. Okay. And that's the level that we have to talk about. I'm talking about people getting shot and killed. That's a different level of hurt.
Sure.
So when the president takes a bullet to the head, that's hurt. When Corey Compertor gets killed in front of his wife and children, that's hurt.
Of course.
When Charlie Kirk gets struck in the neck and killed, that's hurt. And millions of people see it. That's actual hurt. That's physical violence. When a church in Minneapolis gets shot up, right? And the children praying there are killed, that's hurt. When ICE facilities get shot up by snipers with anti-ICE iconography carved in the bullets, that's hurt.
Right.
Right. This is hurt. And so in order to get to the next level of politics where we talk about these issues, right? Marginal tax rates in healthcare, right? In the Civil Rights Act, you have to stop the kill. You have to stop the physical killing,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Before you can even talk about that stuff.
But
So they don't exist. They don't exist in the same plane. One is esoteric and is a policy, and the other one is war, right? And so when Jay Jones, I want to bring this all back to Jay Jones. When there's a Democrat on the ballot in Virginia to be the top law enforcement agent of that state, and there are 3 million Democrats registered in Virginia, and millions of them vote for a man that says he wants to kill Republicans and their children because they're little fascists, what message is that sending? And when the Democrat Party can't disavow that individual, well, what message is that sending to Republicans? You want to talk about hurt, Congressman? That's hurt. And it's no longer something that is esoteric. It's something that's physically happening. We're witnessing it happening. I just saw it happen to my family 3 days ago, right? With the DOJ charges.
Horrific.
Yeah. So it's like, these are real. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. You know,
Benny,
these are real. That's real hurt. And so I think that's a major divide in the country right now, right? Because from a Republican standpoint, from a conservative standpoint, we're seeing the actual physical bullets and the actual, death of generational leaders. Our president taking a bullet to the head.
Look, what happened to the president and every Democrat, including President Biden, Vice President Harris, condemned within hours the horrific assassination attempt at Butler. The 99% of elected Democrats condemned the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk. But you would agree that this violence has not been one-sided, right? I mean, I guess, the vice president and I have debated a lot, Vance, but one of the things that I was disappointed is for him to say, well, it's all the violence on the left. What about, and I don't want to make it a whataboutism, but what about when Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was beaten with a hammer in his house? What about the assassination?
Hold on.
Let me just finish that. What about the assassination?
That guy's kids describe him as a leftist. He lived in a trailer with a BLM sign.
The assassination in Minnesota.
Hold on.
What about Gretchen Whitmer and the governor and militias who captured her? What about the threat?
You're saying all these things, but you're not giving me you're casting these stuff. This happened to me on cable news the other night when they said, well, what about the Pulse nightclub shooting? That's right-wing violence. That was ISIS violence, bro. That has nothing to do with the right wing. They're not the right wing if I disavow them. And Nancy Pelosi's attack. So let's start on the level. It's horrible to attack Paul Pelosi in his home. That was awful. I disavow that violence entirely.
President Trump should have disavowed it more clearly. I mean, he was kind of mocking it.
So that man has a very unique story. And if you actually want to get down into the details, his family describes him as a left-wing environmentalist who supported Democrats. He lived inside of a house with BLM signs in it. So you're ascribing that as right-wing violence. It's not right-wing violence, I don't think.
I'm not saying
either way. I disavow it. It's not even hard for me, right?
Are you willing to criticize President Trump's reactions to John McCain, to Paul Pelosi, to the absence of condemnation when the Minnesota?
I'm not here to speak for the president. I'm here to speak for myself. And I respect the fact that you're speaking for yourself with Jay Jones.
Right.
But
I guess the point is that there's in this country, and I'm not saying that there aren't problems on our side. There's in this country a feeling that that violence has taken place against people on the left. I'm not saying that literally by someone on the right, but that the leaders of the right, from the president on down, have not been as unequivocal in condemning that. as they should be.
But come on, we both have like functional brain stems and eyeballs. You can see that the vast majority of the modern political violence is on the left, and that's what all available data shows.
That's not
and
what
so
that's what the ADL does.
That
does
is
reporting
you
on
can't use the ADL because the
Anti-defamation.
ADL uses prison violence and ascribes white nationalist prison violence as right wing hate. We disavow that entirely. That's not part of our movement. You can't bundle that data together. I refuse to acknowledge that data on this program.
But the point is, what is the gain from even arguing whether it's left or right is more to blame? Why not just come together and say
that it's all wrong? Totally.
And
it's all wrong. And I can tell you this as a matter of fact, if a Republican was running right now that said that Democrat children should be slaughtered because they're little communists,
right,
and that I want to kill Democrats, I would be calling for that person to be banished from the party. I'd say that's absolutely, totally morally repugnant and indefensible. And what I'm saying right now is that the Democrats have a man who's running for the chief law enforcement position in Virginia. It's a big, powerful state.
Right.
Half the federal government's in that state. And, he hasn't been, it's barely even been covered. And so that signals that it's appropriate. That's all. I don't want the signal that that's appropriate.
That's fine. But
that's why I want the guy. That's why I'm glad the guy was arrested, that came after my family. I want a signal that it's important that we can't tolerate this in society.
Right. But it's not been a one-sided problem on the devolution of public discourse.
Of course, to say that it's all 100% one side,
and on the Democratic side, that just to share the perspective, that there's a sense that the president, whatever you think of him, when he came and he's calling about deporting Ilhan Omar, saying that at a rally, who's an American citizen in the Congress, when he's not condemning Paul Pelosi's incident of Hammer, when he's joking about McCain, joking about not condemning unequivocally what happened. It took a week to cover the anti-Semitic arson of Josh Shapiro's home in Pennsylvania. That also
a man of the left, a big pro-Palestine guy.
Is that the case?
That's a matter of fact.
But the question is not
so more left-wing violence. I hate it, and I condemn it. By the way, completely.
Maybe if you were president, we would have had that response within hours. But what we've had is a sense where the Trump and others haven't done it. I'm not holding.
I stood with the Attorney General 72 hours ago, and she condemned all of those, including the Minnesota attack, Josh Shapiro attack. The Attorney General's top law enforcement official, and she in her speech right in front of me, I was a foot from her. She condemned all of that, of course, because it's not even hard to do.
Well, my hope is that this can become the baseline. Maybe we can start with this, that regardless of who the violence is against, or who the random suspect is. Sometimes it's a mental health issue. Sometimes it's initial motives. We can come together, Republicans, Democrats, unequivocal condemnation within hours and zero tolerance. I think if we establish that, Betty,
I love it.
There would be.
I love it. I'm fine with it. I want Paul Pelosi to also live a happy and like of course these things are wrong. This guy's from California. Do you think that I'll hear anything from Gavin Newsom about this, about the guy who threatened my family?
You should.
Yeah.
You should. I'm happy to reach out to him, and it's a federal crime, but we've got to tone down the anger, the hate, the insult. And here's the question, Benny, on a deeper level.
Please.
We can keep going down a politics that's going to insult each other, right? I mean, Trump does a meme, Gavin does a meme. They're mocking each other's physical appearance. I mean, you're laughing, but this has become like the Gladiator.
The best thing the left has going for them digitally is Gavin Newsom having a Stan account that just copies Trump on every tweet, and it's like we're very close to the people that do like Trump social media, and that's what Gavin's doing, and he's going gangbusters on it. It's like it's actually remarkable to watch. It's
that can be the future of America, or we can try to say that we can have ferocious competition, but on a debate about ideas, about a debate about where we stand on things like how we bring manufacturing back, how we grow the economy, how we deal with AI, how we make sure we're ahead of China, and we can debate these issues. And we can do it in a way that is spirited, that is competitive, but isn't like Roman gladiators and mud wrestling. And maybe we just keep going down this kind of shock jock politics.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's going to keep America preeminent if we do that. And what I'd like to do, which I did with Vivek Ramaswamy in a conversation when he was running for president, is we had an hour and a half long conversation, deep divisions, but in an elevated plane. And I wish the vice president would do that. The guy's obviously educated. He went to, Ohio State, went to Yale. No one questions his intellect. Why is it always, okay, let's figure out how we insult or mock? And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Why not turn it around? A new generation post-Trump, right? We've had 3 80-year-old presidents in a row, literally through some quirk. Yeah. We're going to have people like you and me now leading this country in a post-Trump Biden future. Why don't we try to turn things around in a better way so it's not just putting up pictures of Donald Trump and calling him fat, or vice versa?
In defense of the vice president, I think he was on virtually every single news network this weekend on Sunday shows. He did Sunday shows.
I'm not saying
like,
he doesn't hide.
He subjects himself to questioning all the time.
He's out there on questioning, but he has this side.
George Stephanopoulos cut him off with a commercial break.
He's got the side of him. He's insulting, and maybe he finds it humorous. He's calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, etc. I'm just saying that we could. You would agree with me, putting aside who's to blame, that we can do better in this country. Like we're not at like Lincoln Douglas or Kennedy Nixon. We've become a country where, to your point, having a Stan social media account trying to imitate Trump is like, is that the future of America? Like, is that the future of conversation? And maybe that is, but is that going to make us lead in AI? Is that going to make us the leader of the free world?
Yeah.
Is that what Ronald Reagan would have done, and like calling to Gorbachev to tear down the wall?
Yeah.
So how do we? What I'm trying to say is, how do we try to raise the standards of conversation, discourse in this country?
I swear you could sell out arenas by doing actual Lincoln Douglas debates, by bringing thought leaders from both sides and having true debates. People love that. There are big YouTube channels with tens of millions of views. Jubilee is one of them, where they just have a good faith debate. Yeah, good faith debate between sides,
well,
right?
One of the things you could do,
and like people love that. I swear you really could truly sell out arenas.
Yeah,
I would love to.
I did one with Vivek. You can have Marjorie Taylor Greene or Massey or the vice president, not in a way of like, okay, here's the debate with Sean Hannity as a moderator, and you take your swing with your rehearsed talking points. And how about just a conversation?
Right.
That was what Douglas and Lincoln were. They were actually talking for hours in a way of trying to understand where to go as a country. And by the way, it elevated both of them to the point that 150 years later, we're talking about both of them.
People read those debates, like they still study them.
You think they're going to be reading about Newsom's Stan accounts? You think they're going to be reading about? I mean,
there will definitely be history books written about Trump's memes, but that's a corner of the internet. Listen, we live in the internet age, and people love memes, and they love. They love that style of communication. The base does. But I think that there is a ravenous hunger for true and real and hearty debate in this country.
Right.
And I think that they can coexist, honestly. Yeah. And there was a debate that was done between Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
I think it did really well. I think a lot of people watched it. They liked it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see more of that, actually.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Ron DeSantis held up the poop map. Did you see that?
I did not. I didn't watch the debate. I saw the clip.
The San Francisco poop map. He said, "Here's where all the public defecation is in San Francisco."
Dan Lurie is cleaning that up. A new mayor.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. We got a new generation of mayors. And have you been out to the Bay Area recently?
Not recently, but I've been a couple times. It is sunken, man. It is tough. I watched a guy. I got an In-N-Out burger right by the wharf. There's an In-N-Out burger right there. And then I watched a guy drop his pants and then just take a giant shit right in front of me.
Well,
I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat it anymore. I love In-N-Out, and I don't get it very often. So I'm like, I was only there for a few hours. This was my In-N-Out burger, and this guy takes a shit in front of me.
Okay, look,
it sucked.
Well,
I had to throw away my In-N-Out.
We'll come to my district. It's a little bit further south.
Okay.
Valley. We won't have defecation now. We do have. You gotta. For all the mockery of Silicon Valley. If it were really that unsafe a place, you wouldn't have 5 companies over $1 trillion: Apple, Google, NVIDIA, Tesla, Broadcom. You wouldn't have them have their families there, living there, schools there, employees there. Actually, some of the cities in my district are the safest in the country: Sunnyvale, Cupertino, Fremont. But did we have a problem in San Francisco? Absolutely. Open drug culture, homelessness, and Lurie is cleaning it up. Last year, he's taken some big measures. That's why he's got 73% approval rate.
That's wonderful to see. I'd love to do this tour with you in great American cities. My take on this is that we'll never get another San Francisco. God didn't make 2 San Franciscos. There's only one. It is a gorgeous, beautiful American city. It's probably one of the most gifted, naturally beautiful American cities cities in the world. Just period. Yes. And so what happens when you can drive through it? When you drive through it, and I have plenty of video to show. We got our car broken into in 5 minutes. Famously in San Francisco last year. In San Francisco. And it was all on camera, right? And you could see it. You don't want to see these places.
2 experiences: one a car broken in, and one defecation.
Yeah, dude, man. We go there.
I've lived there over 20 years.
But you're in the areas outside. We go downtown. We go downtown, right? And so we're staying in downtown San Francisco. Right. We're not looking for trouble.
Yeah, no.
But you know where we got our car broken into?
Where?
Nancy Pelosi's house. We were just there. We were right up there on Billionaires, little Billionaires block. Yeah. Bro, they smashed right into our car, took all of our stuff right across. We were just filming an open, right? Because we were going to talk about, not to dox Nancy Pelosi, but we were just talk about the neighborhood. Yeah, this was after COVID.
Yeah, I mean, look.
So right across from Pelosi. Her Secret Service was there, actually.
Right.
And they just watched our car get smashed and all of our stuff get taken. I think they were laughing about it. But that's happened. I mean, that's a very safe neighborhood with some of the most beautiful homes I've ever seen in my life, and very expensive homes.
Right.
And it was not safe even there. And so then you watch the Paul Pelosi thing happen, and it didn't shock me because someone criminally attacked us right across from her house, and I was like, "Geez, man, this is just unsafe. It's unsafe. Like Pelosi should move. Actually, like this is unsafe for anyone to live here." And I hate seeing that. Well, here's my take. Okay, this is not the own the libs thing. My take is that we should preserve Chicago. Like, we won't get another Chicago.
Sure.
We won't get another New York.
Sure,
like, we shouldn't abandon these cities to total ruin. It's actually important for America to have these cities.
In federalism and local control. Don't you think that the way to do that is, I often say to about the president, I said, part of me thinks that he really wants to run for like mayor of New York. Like the guy is like, that's the job.
He'd be a great one.
That's the job he really wants.
You like Mondami? Did you endorse him?
I've endorsed. I have endorsed him, and I'm going to campaign. I've campaigned for him, for Mikey Sherrill, for Abigail Spanberger, and that we've got a broad tent party. But I have endorsed Mamdani. But the point is, I mean, why not? Okay,
we don't have enough time on the live for this. The next this conversation.
You should have Mamdani on.
I would love to. I mean this. I would love to. Yeah. I'd say this in absolute earnest. I would love to have him on. I'd like to have AOC on. I'd like to have Bernie on.
Yeah,
this is like critically important that we, at the very least, like can have these conversations.
You know what you could do? You
like
could
adults
actually hold. Get one conservative, one progressive Democrat, or whatever kind, and have a conversation like we're having, where it's substantive. It's not like, oh, kumbaya, like we've had disagreements, and try to. There may be a huge appetite for that in the country. No one has tried it, right? And so what we end up having is like this 10-second back and forth. But my point was,
what you'd get to with that? Sorry to interrupt you, Congressman. But what you'd get with that is you'd probably get an arena. I don't know if you could sell an arena. Maybe you could. You'd probably get an arena that would show up where like the crowd would be very, very mixed.
Yeah.
Would be like a ton of people from different backgrounds.
Right.
That like would be there to see their side. Right. Yeah. So you'd have the AOC people, like, but with the MAGA people. Right. Like, it'd be kind of neat. It'd be neat. I mean, I don't want there to be too much alcohol served. Right. I don't want people doing shots. Okay. Cause it'd be like an Eagles game, right? I don't want batteries being thrown.
And there'll be some overlap. Like there'll be an overlap of like getting money out of politics. There'll be an overlap about not having lobbyists. There'll be an overlap on like transparency of government.
Yes.
In government. There'll be an overlap saying like we got to bring manufacturing.
You know what would go so viral, Congressman?
Yeah.
Is having like the stadium roar. Because there'd be a line like that about like, let's get filthy lobbyist money out of politics.
Yeah.
I'm sick of big pharma money in politics, right? And the stadium would roar, and it'd be all these MAGA people next to all these Bernie people, and they'd all be clapping together for the same thing. It was like it's the meme, it'd be the meme, like the driving meme.
I introduced Trump's executive order on big pharma as a bill in Congress because I agree with it. Like Bernie could have written that same thing. I mean, it was basically going after pharma, saying Americans should pay more than people in like Britain, France, and Japan. So there are those areas, but on this city thing. Like if Republicans are concerned about what's happening in Chicago or what's happening in these cities, then run someone for mayor. It's not like you guys haven't won with Giuliani or more centrist mayors. What my concern is, you don't want the federal government. There's going to be a Democratic president at some point. You don't want a Democratic president sitting there saying, "Okay, we're going to mobilize the National Guard because we don't like what Abbott is doing."
We're gonna bring in the tent cities. We're gonna force the tent cities on you. Yes, that's right.
So
we're deploying 100,000 drug users to Tampa. Okay, and we got a bunch of meth heads. We got an army, National Guards of meth heads. Okay, we're gonna send them in.
So I'm just saying that.
We're gonna make everything San Francisco.
Yeah. And by the way, what they're doing on universities, you want to just think. Sometimes it's short-sighted. Just think of what a Democratic president could do to conservative universities if we said, "Okay, you want federal funding? Now here are all the left curriculum that you need to have." I mean, it's keep the federal government out of sort of the interference on local cities, on private universities, on even if they're getting federal funding. I get that argument, but you really want, okay, right now it's like Trump making the compact for MIT, and Massey's pushed back on it as MIT grad. But do you really want the left getting in there and then talking about the curriculum?
Okay. Do we want the left being on college campuses talking about curriculum? Come on, Congressman.
Well,
you hear yourself.
This is the precedent.
Well, could you imagine if Democrats tried to censor people on social media? It'd be crazy. Whoa. Yes, as a guy who's lost like 50 accounts to censorship. Could you imagine if the left was operating on a college campus? Come on. But these are the kind of conversations you can have, if you have an open debate. And yes, of course, obviously institutional racism, DEI, quotas. I think those are wrong, actually. And I think they're against the civil rights. You talk about the Civil Rights Amendment. Yeah, obviously it's illegal to hire people based on their skin color. Right. You started this conversation saying the Civil Rights, that the Civil Rights Act is incredibly good for the country. Totally. And what? So we shouldn't be hiring people based on quotas and skin colors, and we shouldn't be bringing them into colleges based on DEIs and quotas and skin colors, and having that foisted down from a government. So what I'm saying here is that Trump is, and this is probably a much longer conversation than we have time for, but Trump is to reset that is actually aligned with the Civil Rights Act. To say that we're not going to look at skin, we're not going to look at the amount of melanin you have in your skin to say whether you deserve to be in this college, that is actually a good thing. We're going to look at you on your merits.
Here's what I think is missing. And
I think that's
where the
that's actually in line.
I used to,
with an MLK speech that says, "I want my children to be judged by the content
of the character, not the color of their skin."
Yes.
And I agree.
DEI is the opposite of that.
No one should be hired because they're Indian or white or what their race is. But here's the challenge that those who have supported diversity and inclusion programs, equity inclusion programs. Here's what the challenge is. So I used to teach at Stanford in economics before I got into Congress. And I used to say my students used to get funded before they had an idea. Why? Because they were meritorious? Because they had the best plan? No. Because they had the email to the venture capitalist who their parents knew or who they had a network. And then I went down to the South.
It's the way it's always been, by the way, in all human history, right?
Historically, black colleges were some of the most hardworking, ambitious kids, had some of the most incredible ideas, but they would have no shot of getting any of that venture capital. Less than 1% of venture capital goes to black entrepreneurs. Now, I know you believe this because you believe in the potential of everyone. If we are going to have programs that say, you know what, that's kind of messed up, that we've got all this talent that is not getting access to the right networks, and we're going to lose to China if we don't have everyone on the playing field. I don't view that as unmeritorious. I view that as meritorious. I view that as looking for God-given potential in every zip code and making sure people aren't disadvantaged because they don't have certain networks. And so this is the real conversation about DEI. It's not, okay, do you just hire someone based on race? It's how do we make this country more meritorious when some people have not had the same opportunities?
Yeah, you really got to work on the racism in your district, Congressman. Because what you're talking about is your district there. You really got to work on that. Those racist Silicon Valley companies that won't hire black people. Congressman, you told on yourself. Oh, boy. It looks like you're going home with some real troubles. You're gonna have to really lecture those big tech companies about their racism.
I'm not saying that they're racist. I'm saying that they're networks that we have to work to make more inclusive. Look, that's the American project.
Where you're born is where you're born. It's like, and there's going to be benefits and downsides to everywhere that you're born. You're right. Like
Iowa, we've got to do that, right? I mean, part of the story in this country. I mean, have you ever thought like the people who built America, right? Who scaled the cliffs of Normandy. They won the Civil War, won the Revolutionary War, built the steel, built the coal, deindustrialized, jobs left, rural towns hollowed out. Like all the wealth is piling up in districts like mine. We got billionaires, trillionaires. Have you ever said like, yeah, we need to do more for rural America? I don't view that as affirmative action. I view that as like, how do we get economic activity there? Yeah. Factory towns. And I view the same thing with the Southwest or the Black South. But my point is, there's probably a place where we can come to some, even if we disagree, a way of understanding where we're coming from, and me not saying, you know what, Benny disagrees with me on this, and so he's a racist, or Benny disagrees with me on this, and he doesn't like Indian people, right? And we can come at this with a conversation like we have. That doesn't mean I have to come up and be like, oh, Benny's the greatest on every view. You can hold your own, but we've got to find a way to disagree more respectfully. And if there's one critique I have of my party, and I'm going to ask you what your critique is of yours. But one critique of mine is sometimes we came off too much scolding. That we come off as, I think of the kids I grew up with who watched Rocky movies and went to Phillies games. And I was like, I'm no better than them just because I have a fancy title as a congressman or in Silicon Valley. Like they have a lot to teach me, not just now, but when I was terrible at like Little League, and they used to say, watch the bunt, right? And I think about them all the time, and how I'm still one of those kids who grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And I think our party sometimes comes off as can be preachy. You tell me, honest reflection, where do you think your party could do better?
Your party comes off as preachy, and I feel like my party doesn't preach enough. I feel like there's a huge messaging problem with the Republicans, and that we need to get a lot sharper with our ideas for saving America. Kids can't afford a home. Like, we need to actually talk about that. Like, kids can't buy homes. Well, what the hell is going to happen in 10 years?
No.
In 20 years? Kids don't have enough money to buy a home. What's the average price of a home in your district?
No,
was it $1 million for a starter home? Like, for something that is no bigger than the studio, is it $1 million? How is that possible? And kids are working at Starbucks for minimum wage, and say minimum wage approximately is when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like,
what's so sad? I don't want to interrupt. Did you see the Maxwell houses become Maxwell apartments? The coffee, the like Folgers coffee. They had Maxwell House.
Yeah.
And now they're like, well, we're changing our name to Maxwell Apartments because people don't buy houses anymore.
That sucks. Is that true?
That is true.
Is that a meme or is that true?
It should be a meme. It was
That's
like
insane.
This is like the commentary on the American dream.
That's insane. We have to care about these things. We have to it feels like, another social program. No, it's not a social program. It's like the future of our nation. Young men and women must be able to afford homes, right? Like you have to fix this. Yeah. They shouldn't be burdened with trillions of dollars of debt in pointless wars for forever wars.
There you go.
And pharmaceutical costs are obscene, and so are healthcare costs. And so no kids can afford healthcare. That's like a joke. No one will ever own a home, and you're going to have like an entire nation of nihilistic renters. That's an awful future. Right?
And
in a dollar that's
insurance getting,
that's exactly right.
$71 billion of profits.
And no more small businesses, and total corporatist control of everything.
That's
awful.
Who's been saying some of this stuff is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. That's a terrible future.
But look, that was an honest answer. See,
that's a terrible future. And we need to talk about that. Like,
I agree with that.
Yeah. For like from a moral perspective, like it's an immoral thing to do to your children.
And from a patriotic perspective.
Yes. It's an immoral thing to give them that as a future.
Isn't that the single biggest issue in this country, that 70% of Americans believe that the American dream no longer exists? Like,
that sucks. Yeah, that sucks.
And my parents, when they came here, right, put aside what people think partisan was, but John F. Kennedy was saying we were going to go to the moon. The country was on the march. Yeah. We were the place to be in the world.
Yeah.
And they never had a doubt that I or my brother would have a better life, that this was the greatest country in the world. I still believe that, but see, 70% of Americans lose that sense of chutzpah, that sense of building things, that we're the greatest nation, your kids are going to have a better life. That's That's what our political class should be talking about. That's what we should be trying to figure out a common ground. And, I don't care if Donald Trump were to get the credit. I gave him credit. I was very, very critical of Netanyahu, but I was one of the few people, he's not Voldemort. I mentioned his name, President Trump. Yeah, good. He released the hostages. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah. Did you call Obama on that? Did you call your boy Obama? Did you say, hey, Obama, say Trump?
President Obama.
Why didn't he say Trump?
Look, Obama has one of the great American stories.
Clinton and Biden said Trump. I think even Pelosi and Schumer were all like, "Good job, Trump."
Yeah,
Obama did.
The point
I
is,
found that interesting.
You know what I wish for because I actually want my American president to succeed. Like whoever it is, you fight hard. You have the president. I wish after the next few years he has as president. I don't believe this whole 2028 it's going to be Rubio and
Gavin does. Your boy Gavin does. Gavin is scared shitless of Trump 2028. He talked about it.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Who knows?
Did you send him the Trump 2028 ad? Can you admit that? Are you the one who sent Gavin that?
They haven't sent it to me yet. So.
Okay.
But the point is, I want him to see. Focus on just like if he's trying to bring people together in the Middle East. How about trying to bring people together in this country, right? Like this is it. Like he's not going to run again.
I'm ending wars, man. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Listen, dude, if like Trump, you will be wearing that Trump 2028 hat. If he lowers all the prescription drug prices by 90%, if he ends these wars, Ukraine and Gaza, like he's already got one down, right?
Well,
and then
look, these are
things that a lot of people care about and really like. These are big time policy.
I totally give him and his team credit on the release of the hostages and telling Bibi to stop the bombing. Now, he's got to make sure that it continues, right? These ceasefires continue, but also, the bloated defense budget you can't say I'm against endless wars and then have like $1 trillion plus on the defense. Defense budget.
Totally. See, look at this. Like, I think I've seen it in your eyes. There's been like, oh wow, oh cool. Like, we actually agree on a lot of this stuff. Like. Right. Yeah, but we never have enough. It's like you get caught in like the DEI trap, right? Where everyone's like screaming, but the hurt of my ancestor, like you get caught in like the emotional argument,
right?
Instead of the human argument about like the future of our children and like what kind of country, the big things, right? And I'd rather, there's like an old John Adams quote about like how I must study war. I don't know exactly how it goes, but he's like, I got to study.
Poetry,
exactly.
Philosophy, art.
And I feel like we're back there. I feel like this is the generation. You're relatively young, especially for Congress. For Congress, you're a spring chicken.
So I said, we need a new generation. They said, bro, you're 49. Only in Washington is that considered the new generation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Firefighters are like retiring at 50 or something.
Bro, that's exactly right. So it's like I have young kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's my motivation. I just don't care. I want to leave them a functional country. And like these little things,
I used to think money in politics was the biggest problem. I think extremism and hate in politics right now is our biggest problem.
For real. Yeah.
You can't talk to
Totally. And I think that there would be like, if we had this conversation with a stadium of people, there would have been multiple applause lines where both sides, all of your supporters and all the people that are there on the right would have stood up and applauded.
Especially when you started about housing. I mean, that's
for real.
Yeah.
You need to talk about real things: gas price, food price, housing price.
Totally.
Right. And that's not a one party thing. That is like and healthcare. That is a generational. That's like our political system uniting to F Americans for decades.
Right.
Like that's both sides uniting to screw over Americans for generations.
So
like that happened a long time ago.
Where are you on taxing for? Like Bannon says, which I agree with on him. He says tax more of the billionaires in Rose District. Put some wealth tax. I said to Elon, someone asked me, can he become a trillionaire? I said, fine, but tax him at 5% on the $1 trillion so we can fund some of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, do we even have it? Is he a trillionaire yet? Is Elon a trillionaire?
Not yet.
Does he live in your district? Is he your taxpayer?
He's peripatetic, whatever. He doesn't have any house. He just kind of crashes at different people's houses. I mean, it's the craziest thing.
He crashed at your house?
No, my house doesn't kind of make it.
Okay. All right. What does Elon say about that? Does Elon like the $1 trillion tax?
I'm sure. I think he's so focused right now on becoming a trillionaire. But look at all the billionaires and trillionaires that we have in my district, and if you just tax them, you could help at least solve some of these issues for the 70% of Americans who have the American dream slipping away. Like we could build new.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're looking for consensus here, I'm no tax expert.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to like jump in. I haven't like I'm not going to be able to jump into the margins there. But what I am is an expert on like pattern recognition.
Yeah.
And clearly, the middle class is getting destroyed in this country.
And the working class.
Yeah, and the working class.
Hardworking.
That sucks, and that's terrible. And you'll lose it again. You'll lose a country there. You'll turn into a total kleptocracy. It'll be serfdom, right? It'll be just serfdom and slavery.
Yeah.
You'll have a
By the
ton
Wall
of
Street's buying up some of these houses.
yeah, a ton of super poor people. The majority of the country is so poor they can barely afford their next meal,
Right.
and then like uber wealthy. And that's a horrible. Nobody wants to live in a place like that. Nobody wants to live in feudalism. Nobody wants to go back to like 16, the 600 Europe. Like nobody wants to do that.
Benny for Bernie Sanders.
And then nobody wants to live like that. And no, it's Benny for Trump. These are Trump policies. That's right. Bernie sold out. Bernie said, "No, I'll get a new house." You'll give me a new house on the lake, then I will drop out of the race.
Oh, please.
That's right,
please.
Hillary. I do have your endorsement.
Please.
Buy my book.
I
would love to have Bernie on the show. I'm not a Bernie hater. I'd love to talk with him.
His whole thing is this.
He was like Trump before Trump. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, he on
some things.
income,
Yeah.
And the question, I mean, we'll just disagree with this on, I just don't think Trump's policies actually are solving the income divide. I agree with you on the diagnosis. This should be 2026, 2028. If we were a rational country, what you said would be the debate. And instead of like just miming each other, we'd be like, okay, here's how we think young kids can buy a house.
Yeah.
Here's how we think you aren't going to go into debt. Here's how we think that you could actually have health care so that you don't have to be paying more for your premiums. And this would be the debate in this country. And I'm not saying I have all the answers. And I'm not saying that I shouldn't be challenged. And people can say, those programs are going to be a waste. But this should be the defining debate in this country. And you should host something. You should call it revitalizing the American dream. You get someone from the right, you get someone from the left, you get the gladiator.
Maybe get like a moderator from the left, get some left wing, like, internet personality too, to balance everything out and then do it. Yeah. And then like have these like moments of great consensus where you're like, wait a second, cheap gas, cheap food, good, solid healthcare, cheap, affordable homes for young people. We agree on all those things. Like a safe, functional country, right?
But see how we started out and where we ended. I'm not saying
that's awesome.
The Jones tweets aren't worth talking about and they should be condemned. But we started out, and we'll see if people make it this far. We started out with like what everyone asks on cable news. And then by the end of this, we're like, you know what? We got bigger issues. Like, how are we going to be the greatest country?
Well, you got to stop killing. Yeah. I mean,
like, stop killing.
Make sure that we can have the debates without dying. Right. Like that. Okay. So that's like step one. Right. And if you can get past that step, then yes, these are the debates that the country needs. And then you save the country by having them. Yeah. Awesome. Well, maybe we did our part today, Congressman.
We'll see the reactions.
Yeah, we'll see
how much of your base still likes you after this.
We'll see how many Silicon Valley tech heads call you. I'm not racist. I will hire black people. I'm sorry. Why did you say that? All right. You lost your speaking slot at Stanford. All right. It's an honor, Congressman. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do the first one in downtown San Francisco in the Tenderloin. Yeah.
With an In-N-Out burger.
Okay. Yes, that's right. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was an interesting conversation. Whoa. I'm going to have to process that. Luckily, I have a little bit of a trip today. I'm taking a train actually to New York. So hopefully to do some more meetings, more content, be fun. So I guess I will have some time to process that. Fascinating. I like that we were able to roast him a little bit. I hope that I don't think that we cucked out on anything. I'm not here to like try and make nice. I believe what I believe. I'm not going to compromise that for anything. However, I do actually know, as a matter of fact, this company is a company made up of young people. Prices and costs are extremely out of control. I read your comments. I want young people to be able to afford houses, food, gas, and healthcare. I mean, obviously, like these shouldn't be things that we even debate. How we get there, I think, is part of the debate. But then roasting Khanna about Silicon Valley and the capitalization of his firms. Got him. That was cool, man. I hope that we are able to do more of it. And I hope that, I hope that we made you proud. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about capitalization, Allio Capital is the company that helps make sure that while we're doing these interviews, that my capital is being managed correctly. Allio Capital is an investment app that is probably based actually in Khanna's district. So we'll see if he gets a call there. The point is that it is an AI investor. It keeps my money working and moving for me, especially in dodgy times and times when there are major things happening. And that, I guess, is always right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Allio Capital is changing the game and making sure that when you invest with them, that your portfolio is managed from either a micro or macro level, that you're taken care of. And man, I'm telling you, I use it myself. And it's great, especially when we're on the road here. Download their app today. The average score for their app right now is a 4.8 out of 5 stars in the App Store, Google Play. It's a beautiful, easy to use app. Text my name, Benny, to 511-511. That's Allio Capital. Text Benny to 511-511 today in order to start investing. And know, ladies and gentlemen, that the future is golden. And how can the future be golden without our verse of the day? Let's make sure that we lock it in. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give you as the world gives. I do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John 14:27. Oh, it's an awesome verse. Let's just read the last line again. I do not give it to you as the world gives. Because these are profound and spiritual and eternal gifts. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. The most commonly used verse quote in the Bible. The most commonly used phrase in the Bible is do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Fear not. That is how we are going to carry on today. We are not going to live in fear. And that is exactly what we said actually on Jesse Waters last night. So why not just end with that, right? I wanted to play this clip. We just didn't have time before the congressman got here. So on Jesse Waters last night, this is what we were able to talk about, along with Charlie's Cross. It's been a remarkable couple of days. Thank you so much for sticking with our program. And remember, in the end, we win. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
This afternoon, Erica Kirk told us about how Charlie prayed for everyone, including his enemies. Watch.
Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did. No one else, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. But he also loved people when it was inconvenient. And he ran his race with endurance, and he kept the faith.
Host of the Benny Show, Benny Johnson. That was a throwback to Arizona when she forgave everybody and Trump said, I'm sorry, I do not wish my enemies well.
I don't forgive my enemies. And he's gone through the entire Middle East carpet bombing Hillary every step of the way. It's been remarkable. However, Donald Trump clearly understands Christendom and understands Christian doctrine and the power that Charlie Kirk brought to the advancement of the kingdom of Christ, because Erica Kirk showed me something remarkable at the White House right before coming over here to do your show, Jesse. If you don't mind, I'd like to share it with your audience. Sure. She opened up the Medal of Freedom, as you can see there, that very few Americans get. There have only been a few hundred given out, the highest civilian honor. And then she turned it around back. And what you can see here on the back is the first Christian cross, the first crucifix ever engraved onto a Medal of Freedom given by the president. This is a historic moment. It's the first time that religious iconography has ever made it onto this award. And it is done in honor of Charlie Kirk. And what Erica told me, Jesse, was that this is for the advancement of Charlie Kirk and his work for the kingdom of Christ. And the president understood that so profoundly that he gave him this great honor.
What a wonderful and blessed symbol. And like you said, one of a kind. Isn't it interesting how Donald Trump almost died? And then when Charlie died, the president's talked more about heaven than he ever has. Have you noticed that?
Jesse, I've seen you cover thousands of Donald Trump speeches and many Don Jr. speeches. When was the last time you had Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. talking about Christ and their faith in God live on stage together? It was a remarkable moment. Don Jr., of course, had to make jokes about Kamala and Hillary while he was doing it, but still, it was profound and it was beautiful. And there is something that I'd like to say as we move forward from today, which is the most common phrase in all of the scriptures is fear not. Do not be afraid. This is a moment where people have a profound sense of purpose in life, and you can see it. You can feel that spiritual energy. People are no longer afraid. The intention of that assassin's bullet with Trump and with Charlie was to make us fear, to make us put our heads down and to not speak anymore. And now people are speaking up louder than ever. Fear not.
I've felt the same thing, fear leaving your body after the 10th, and it's contagious. And I hope everybody feels it too. Benny Johnson, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Godspeed.
Found myself in a train at the station. When it hits home, I wanna be left alone. Please take me far, far away. I can't watch it anymore. She covers her face. You might call me hateful, bigoted and racist. I'll wait for the next train and reach my old ages. You can't fix a savage animal, rabbit and damage. Oh no. Mercy for the wicked is cruel to the innocent. Sister in heaven. In a car with my brothers, leaving our wives and mothers at home. That Chicago wind chills to the bone. I just wanted to be left alone. You might call me hateful, bigoted and racist. I'll wait for the next train and reach my old ages. And guess what, my friend? Everything will be okay. Guess what day? What day? Yeah, it's hump day. Woo-hoo. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.